Again, we're going to be, if you're just joining us, we're going to be laying down on your back with a block or a ball or a towel or something, lifting up your hip bones, but don't lay down yet. I want to show you a few things we're going to be doing while we lay down. So the first thing we're going to be doing with our hands, we're going to be placing our fingers right in the middle of our forehead, and we'll be just doing a gentle, and it's not aggressive, just pull, almost like we're trying to pull open our skull right here, but it's like slow and gentle across like that. Let another person in here. So that's one of the things that we're going to be doing. So you'll hear me cueing these things. But again, this will be when we're laying down. The second thing that we'll be doing is we'll be putting our thumbs right on the corners of our eyebrows, and just a gentle upward and inward pressure. So that's the second thing that we're going to be doing. And again, when we're laying down. And then the third thing is you can either use your pointer fingers or thumbs on the edges of the nose, so like right by your nostrils, and again it's sort of a in and an outward sort of pressure. So we're going to be giving ourselves a little massage while we're laying down and sort of grounding. So again, so first one is fingertips on the forehead and opening. The next one is thumbs right at the corners of the eyebrows, and the last one is finger or thumb on the corners of the nasal of the nose by the nostrils. So we'll be doing those three things. So we're going to go ahead and lay down, and you'll be placing again a block or a ball or your rolled up towel, something to lift the hips up. So anytime we have the hips higher than the heart, it brings us into a parasympathetic state, and that's our state of rest, recover, heal. So again, it can be a block, it can be your Pilates ball, it can be a rolled up towel or blanket, but the hips are lifted, hip bones are tipped towards you. So make sure whatever it is not under where the back arches, it's more on your rear end by your tailbone. So the hips are tipped towards you. So before we do any of the things with the hands, just go ahead and close your eyes. You can lay your arms alongside your body if you'd like. We're going to settle in. We're going to do a few deep breaths here. So it's a 3 or maybe 4 count breath in. And if possible, in through the nose. And if possible, again, out through the nose slowly for a 3 or 4 count out. And we're thinking of breathing deep into the lower belly, into the ribs. So as best you can, not chest breathing. So as full and expansive as you can, into the belly, into the ribs, 3 or 4 counts in, and then 3 or 4 counts out. And perhaps the next time you breathe in, you pause at the top for 3 or 4 counts. So breathe in for the count of 1, 2, 3, 4 maybe, and hold for maybe another 4 count, or maybe for you it's 3. We don't want to stress, so if it's hard to hold for 4 counts, just hold for 3 or even 2. And then slow exhale, maybe it's a 3 or 4 count out. And then hold the breath out. And do that again. Breathe in. 3 or 4 counts in, maybe 5 for you. If you've got a big breath, you just go ahead and expand it longer, and then hold at the top. Approximately the same count, 3 or 4, maybe 5 counts. Everybody's a little different, and then slow exhale. And then hold the breath out. And this just continue deep breathing. So maybe don't worry so much about the count anymore, just deep breathing. And now we're going to incorporate the things I mentioned earlier. So we're going to take the fingertips on the forehead, right in the middle of the forehead, And relax your shoulders. So try not to crunch up into your shoulders as you do this. And again, you're still laying down. And it's just a gentle dragging the fingers across the forehead. So we're going to do that 3 times. So go ahead and bring the fingertips again to the middle of the forehead, and it's slow and you're not pressing as hard as you can. There's a little bit of pressure, but not a lot. And then just sliding the fingers across the forehead. And one more time, fingertips in the middle and slide it out. Good. And then the next one, again, we put our thumbs right by the inner corners of the eyebrows. And it's a little bit of direct pressure in and up. And you can either just leave that just sitting there, or you can actually drag the thumbs up towards the eyebrows and towards the forehead. And then again, thumbs right in the corners, at the top of the nose, inner eyebrows. You can drag a little up and across, maybe across the eyebrows. Or again, if it feels good to just hold that direct pressure down a little bit. Again, don't get aggressive, and a little bit outward. Then you can do that. And then the last one, right by the nasal corners of the nostrils, pointer finger or thumb, whatever's comfortable, or a couple of fingers, whatever feels comfortable, you press yet again in, just gentle, and out a bit. And again, pressing in a bit and across a bit. We're just giving ourselves a little facial here this morning. And again, one more time. In and slightly out. Good. And release those arms back down by your sides. And we'll take 3 more expansive breaths. You can do the box breath if you'd like. That's the 3 or 4 count in, the 3 or 4 count hold, 3 or 4 count exhale, and then holding out of the breath. Or just think of breathing deeply. If it's confusing or stressful to worry about the number or to hold the breath, then please don't do it. Just focused, big, expansive breath. One more big breath in. And you exhale. And we'll press into the feet to lift up and come off of your ball or your block, your blanket, or whatever you're using. And we'll flip you over and come onto all 4s. So hands and knees. I'm going to get some energy moving through the spine here by moving through a variety of cat-cows. So right now the wrists are right under the shoulders and the knees are right under the hips. Okay? So what we want to do here is think of how long can I get my spine? It's not about dumping into the low back. We want to think of lengthening the heart forward and almost just a little bit of a pull forward by pushing into the hands. Now that doesn't mean I'm dropping my whole body forward in any way. That means I'm just slightly shifting forward and really ribs dropping down, heart lifting forward. I'm not cranking on my neck, so carefully you don't over crank your head up. And then tuck the chin, round the spine, and then you can press into your hands almost like you're going to push your body way backwards. And it might move a little bit, but you're not coming all the way back like into a child's pose. So press into the hands, really round out the upper back, and then move back to that inhale and lift, and you lengthen. Inhale. And then tuck and round, and you exhale. And again, inhale, lift, lengthen. Exhale, tuck and round. You guys look good. All right, so now bring the forearms down to the ground and then make a place with your hands to let your forehead land. So I've got my head on my hands. And then we're going to isolate more of just the low back. So now my upper back is a little less involved as I move from cat to cow. Remember our really important cue of not pushing through anything sharp. So if you go to a sway back and it's pinchy, don't go that far. If you go to a rounded spine and it's pinchy, then don't go that far. Find a range that is stretching, mobilizing, but no sharp pain. One more time, moving through the low spine. And then our next one, this is probably the hardest one, is to try to isolate more of this thoracic spine. Most of us are stuck in this area. So what we're going to do is stay on the forearms, move the hips back towards the heels. Our forehead comes off of the hands now, and we think of moving from the middle back as best we can, moving from the middle back. So my hips are definitely farther back than they were. I'm not hips over knees now. My hips are back a bit. And you find the range that works okay with your knees. Of course, everybody's different with this. So think about moving through your middle back, tuck and round, and lift and lengthen. Tuck and round, and lift and lengthen. One more time, tuck and round, and lift and lengthen. All right. So let's go ahead and grab your Pilates ball or whatever you're using in place of a Pilates ball. We're going to be laying on your belly on the ball, okay? So for those of you who have a ball, I'll be giving you some cues of ways to move around. If you don't have a ball and you're using a pillow or a blanket or something else, you'll probably just stay and breathe for most of what we're doing right now. So it goes right in the middle of the belly. You're definitely going to have a portion of it on your belly button. A portion of it might touch your pubic bone or maybe a little bit above that. So the first thing we're going to do is just come into some breath. So you can lay your forehead down or you can stay lifted up and start to breathe deeply. If this is very uncomfortable, if you have a ball, you can let some air out. That can be helpful. Deep breathing, inhaling and exhaling. And if that does not help, you might need to move the ball a little up or a little down. Maybe where you have it is just too intense. So whenever we do any of this belly release work, what we're doing is so many things. I mean, the biggest thing I'm really focusing on today is focusing on the lymphatic system. So our lymphatic system doesn't have a very good pump. So we actually need to stimulate it in a variety of ways. So some of you know about skin brushing. Anytime we do a little bit of just bouncing, or if you have a vibe plate, that stimulates your lymphatic system. There's a whole bunch of ways of stimulating and getting the lymphatic system going, and this is another one. So our lymphatic system is super important to keep us healthy. Our lymph system is what battles disease and all those kinds of things that are out there that can make us sick. So we really want to keep it healthy and pumping and working for us. So this is one really great way. So breathe into the belly, and then you'll exhale and you'll feel the ball or whatever you're using like a ball melt into your belly. And if you're on a ball, you can start to move a little bit. You can rock your hips side to side. If you're using a pillow or something like that, it doesn't work quite as well as the Pilates ball does. So you can just continue to breathe and maybe move the ball or move your blanket or your pillow or whatever you're using a little higher, a little lower. Just move it around a bit so you're covering the whole belly region. If you're on a ball, again, hips can rock side to side. You can even tuck your toes or bend your knees and make some circles in each direction. Again, this will only work if you're on a ball. If you're on something else that doesn't move, then you'll just continue to deeply breathe. You're still getting great work either way. And if you're on a ball, you might shift all the way to one side. So I'm shifting to my right and the ball is kind of pooching out to the left. So I'm isolating a little bit more on the left side. Deep breathing. And of course, I'd do the same if I am on a ball. I can shift my hips way to the left and the ball kind of pooches out to the right. I might bend my right knee and have a little bit more pressure on the right side, a little bit more tugging on that tissue on the right side. Good. Continue to breathe deeply. So all of this myofascial work, we call it because by habit myofascial release, but in truth, we're not really releasing, quote unquote. We're actually hydrating all of these tissues so that they actually slide and glide and work better for us. So it's hydration that we're doing mostly with all of this myofascial work. So take 3 more breaths, whatever it is that you're doing, whether you're rocking side to side, whether you're just breathing or making circles, a couple more deep inhales and exhales. And good. We'll carefully start to make our way off of whatever you're using, a ball or whatever it is, and rounding your spine either into a child's pose or a rounded cat pose, just letting your body relax, your spine relax here into a rounded flexion position. Good. All right, and then we'll lay all the way down onto the belly, no ball or anything underneath you this time. So we're going to come into your version of a sphinx. And what's going to happen is my elbows are going to be on the ground, my forearms are going to be on the ground. And again, I'm thinking of how long can I get my spine here and how much stretch can I get in the front side of my body. In no way, shape, or form am I trying to bend my body in half backwards. So for some of us, the elbows are going to be pretty far forward and I'm going to lift just barely off the floor. Otherwise, I have a lot of pinching in the back. No pinching in the back. You might feel a stretch in the back, but no pinching. For some of you, your elbows are going to be fairly close and you'll be really pressing into your floor or your mat and pulling your body forward again, really thinking of how long can I get that space in the front of my body that I was just rolling out with the ball or my blanket or whatever I was using. And some of you might even slide your hands outward and press into your hands and start to straighten your arms a little or a lot. And once again, in no way, shape, or form am I trying to bend my body in half backwards. I'm thinking of how long can I get all of this tissue in the front of my body that I was just rolling out. And if it's too much on the back, you come lower. You can use the earth to lengthen, press down, and pull your body forward. Just one more big breath in and long breath out. And then go ahead and bring your forehead down to the backs of your hands. You could just shimmy your hips side to side to release or bend your knees and do like a windshield wiper with the legs. All right, and we're going to move on So let's take one of your balls, whatever you're using, yoga tune-up ball, tennis ball, whatever it is. We're going to be laying down on your back, and you're going to be placing that ball right in the big fleshy part of your glute on your right side. So place it there. And once you have it underneath you, leave the sole of your left foot on the ground. It should look very familiar to most of you. And then the right knee is going to go out and in and out and in. And you'll keep just moving that ball around. It might go a little bit out to the lateral part of your glutes. It might go higher. It might go lower. You know, do a few, like 1 or 2 or 3. I call it a clamshell, but like a half clamshell with this right knee, and then move it to another location. So I really want to cover the whole glute. So a few, and then I move it, and then again, do a few, and then I'll move it again. And just taking note as you go, how does it feel? You might find an area where you're like, yep, that is where it really should stay. And that's going to be an area that's not so intense that you're freaking out or can't breathe, but it's definitely an area that it's on a scale of 1 to 10, it feels like an intensity of maybe a 6 or so. And some of you might feel a little more than that. Some of you might feel a little less. But find the area where it seems like, yep, it should stay there. Then leave your right knee out, and you'll start to shimmy your hips side to side. Now, a few things. If this is ever too much, there's ways you can back it off. Well, first of all, you can move it to a place where it's not as intense, number one. Number two, now, if you're on a really hard surface and then you have your mat or maybe no mat, that means you've got a lot of pressure happening. If you want a little less, give yourself more cushion. Maybe you go onto carpet, or maybe you get a thicker yoga mat. If no matter what you do, it's so intense, you might bring your ball to the wall and do your shimmy, shimmy side to side on the wall. So again, you could do this with a couple of layers underneath you, but also know that if you're not feeling enough and you're on carpet, maybe you need to come to a harder surface. So the opposite is true too. If you're doing this and you're thinking, I don't really feel anything, you might need a little bit more dense surface so that the ball can really do its job. Now, some of you will be just fine and stay here. Some of you might choose to cross your right ankle over your left thigh. Okay? And if that's not easily accessible, if you're like, don't do it. Okay, so don't worry about it. So, but if you can easily cross ankle over thigh, then go ahead and try it. That exposes the piriformis a bit, and some of you might need a little work there, so that might be good for you today. And if some of you need even more, you might decide you want to sit up. And you could do all of those same things. You could do a clamshell with the knee. You could shimmy side to side. You could cross the ankle over the thigh. Of course, when you're sitting up, it's easier to do circles or go up and down. Not really that easy to do when you're laying on your back. So do what's appropriate for you today. And everybody's going to look a little different when they're doing this because everybody's got different levels of, I call it being stuck. So stuckness in different areas. And so when we roll, we're hydrating the tissues so that our tissues become unstuck. Good. Nice work, you guys. Go ahead and take 3 more big breaths in and out. Either laying down or sitting up, ankle crossed or not, all is perfect. 2 more big breaths. And 1 more big breath. Good. And then we'll go right to side number 2. So lift up, switch glutes, And then remember, we start with that half clamshell. So the knee goes out and in and out and in, and then we move the ball. A little more lateral, a little more medial, up or down, out and in with the knee, out and in. Check in with your breath. Are you able to take a deep breath? Are you holding your breath? And eventually the left knee will stay out. And then you'll shimmy, shimmy your hips side to side. And remember, you could cross ankle over thigh. That is one option. You could take it to the wall if it's too much. You could sit up if you felt like you needed more. If you're at the wall, all same kinds of things. Shimmy, shimmy. You could go up and down. You could make circles. Check in with your breath over and over. Are you able to take a deep breath? If you're not, maybe it's too intense. Or maybe you're habitually holding your breath. So see if you can habitually deep breathe for the rest of our time today. Get into the habit, and then maybe several times more today, you recheck your breath. You can shift your state of being just by changing your breath. 3 more full inhales and exhales. And when you've finished with your 3 breaths, you can lift up and remove the ball. So we're going to come into a shape that looks somewhat like this. My right leg is forward, my left leg is back. So I have a 90-ish degree angle here and a 90-ish angle here. Okay, for some of you, depending on your knees or your hips, it might be a little less or more than 90 degrees. Okay, so we're going to be moving first back and forth between a almost like a half pigeon. So you're going to come forward over your right knee or shin or foot, and then you'll actually come up. So this is a little bit we call dynamic. So with movement, and rotate towards my left. Now check in with this knee. If it's pinchy in the knee, you might need to change the angle here, okay? And then again, I rotate back to the right. Now I could do this with no hands and use some muscles to move me back and forth. If I need support, if it's not possible to do with no hands, then by all means, use support. Use your hands and walk yourself back to the left, grounding down as best I can in this left sit bone. And then I rotate back to the right again. And then I rotate back towards my left leg one more time. Good. And then bring the hands behind you. This left leg is going to move again through a range of motion. So I'm going to lift my knee up and then I'm going to bring it back down. Now I'm pretty mobile in my hip. Yours might move like this much, and that is absolutely fine. What you don't want to do is start now moving this leg to help move this leg. So if I only move this far off the ground, that is fine. Okay. I'm still trying to ground into my sit bones here, and I'm moving this leg through a range of motion that might be this big or it might be this big. It's inside this left hip joint. Okay. If it's in the knee, again, please adjust the angle of this back leg so that you're not feeling a pinch in the knee. So you're moving through this left hip joint. The knee goes up and down, whatever amount works for you, up and down, and up and down. Couple more times. Good. And then lay that leg back down. Turn as far to the right as your body allows and come over your right knee or shin or foot. Now you want to be feeling the same area you rolled with the ball a moment ago. That's stretching. So outer hip, glute area, adjust this leg so that you feel that, so you don't feel your knee. Okay. So sometimes keeping this 90-degree angle is not good for the knee for you. So maybe you need to bend it a little or a lot more. What does not matter what it looks like, what you want to feel, again, is this same area that we were rolling with the ball earlier. Once you find that, settle in and breathe. Sometimes it can be nice to have some blocks available to bring under our elbows or lay our forehead on so that we don't have to like hold ourselves up so much. Settling in for about 5 more full breaths in and out. And then after your 5th breath, you can go ahead and start to make your way back up. Okay. So from here, we're going to be releasing the front of your left thigh now. So for most of you, you'll just bend the knee as far in now as your knee allows and place the foot in whatever position it's comfortable. If it's possible, maybe the top of the foot is on the floor. If that does not work, maybe it's pointed out to the side as long as it doesn't hurt the knee, that's fine. And then you'll take your hands behind you and whatever amount you lay back right in the front of this left thigh. So it might be on my hands, it might be on my elbows. I might lay all the way back. For some of you, this is a no way Jose on the knee. So if that is the case, you'll actually come all the way out of that, lay down on your left side, reach around and catch your left foot. Okay, so this will be the position that you will take if the position of sitting and leaning back a bit does not work for you, then you do the other variation. So again, I might be on my forearms, I might be on my hands, I might even have blocks behind me for some support. And then some of you will be all the way down here on your back. As long as you're feeling a stretch in the top of your left thigh, we're doing what we want. And once again, if none of that works, I'll show you one more time. You're laying down on your side, left side, and catching your left foot. Front of the thigh. So whatever you need to do to feel that. And 3 more breaths. Now, if you happen to be laying all the way back, be careful. I would roll to the right and come out of this. Okay? And then we'll all sit up and give ourselves a little shake out of those legs, contract and release the quads. So you pump some blood into those knees. They've been bent for a long time. Contract and release, contract and release. If you were leaning on your hands, you might want to give those hands a little shaky shake out. And then we'll start to transition to side number 2. So again, left leg is forward, right leg is back, 90-ish, 90-ish. With or without hands, we rotate over the left leg, and then we rotate as far as it's possible in our body to the right, grounding down into the right sit bone, and then we rotate back. And again, you could have no hands and do a little muscular work to transition you. If that's absolutely not working, then use your hands to help walk you one direction and then the other. And we go back slowly and forth, back and forth slowly. One more time forward and one more time back. And then we'll bring our hands behind ourselves and the right knee goes up and down. So I'm rolling in the direction of flattening out my right foot and then placing it back down. Yours might lift an inch, okay? Yours might lift all the way up and point towards the ceiling like mine does. Okay, there's no right or wrong. I'm not better than you if you can't do that. It's just where you are today. And you may or may not ever get to this place where mine is. And that's absolutely fine. As long as you're moving inside this right hip joint, that's what we're going for. So we're happy. Okay, up and down. And again, don't try to move this knee up by letting this leg move. Okay, so the left knee just stays down and this left leg doesn't move much or at all. And one more time up and bring it back down. And then we transition up and over our left knee or shin or foot. Find the position that allows you to feel the release, the stretch in the same area or in and around the same area we were rolling with the ball earlier. Maybe blocks or something to support you underneath your hands or forearms. This should be hopefully someplace where you can just kind of settle in and not have to make a lot of effort to get you into this position. So please support in any way that you need. Deep breathing. Full inhales and exhales. Relax your jaw, relax your face, your shoulders. Settle in, settle in, settle in. Letting go. Just a couple more full inhales and exhales. And you'll start to make your way up. And then from here, bending that right knee a lot, as much as your knee allows. Placing the foot in whatever position it allows, and I'll show you all of your options again here. Maybe hands are back behind you, and that's plenty. Maybe some of you put your forearms down. Maybe some of you lay all the way down. And once again, if none of that is working for you, for your knee, lay down on your right side. And again, catching your right foot. Perhaps you can't reach your right foot, so you hook it with a strap. But it is the right thigh down and the right foot that you're catching if you're laying on your side here. Otherwise, you're laying back in any amount that your body allows. So maybe on the hands, maybe the forearms, maybe you have blocks behind you, maybe you're all the way down on your back. That should not necessarily be a goal to lay all the way down. The goal, if there's any goal at all, is to feel something in your right thigh. If you're feeling something in your right thigh, you're good to go wherever you are. There is no goal to look like anything. The goal is to feel something. Good. Nice work. And we'll take 3 more big breaths in and out. And then slowly making your way out once again. Perhaps extend the legs out, give them a little shake again, or contract and release those quads, contract them, release them, just pumping blood into those knees. Sometimes when we have them bent for a long time, they get a little sticky. So contract, squeeze, or shake them out. Again, you can shake out your wrists if you were leaning back on your hands. Maybe you need to shake those out a little bit. All right, so we're going to go ahead and take your double balls inside their tote if you have a tote. If not, you'll probably just be attempting to do this with a single ball, which can work. We're going to be working a little bit more on the upper outer hip area now here. So this can be a very delicate area, so you might be a little more forward or a little more back. Once again, you're always trying to find a place where you're still able to take a deep breath. Doesn't mean it's going to be a little uncomfortable, but we're not trying to bruise you, and we're definitely not trying to take you into fight or flight. So we'll start with the right side. You're going to be laying down on the balls this way, or for some people, and again, I demonstrated this way, for some people, it actually feels better to take one on top of the other. So you'll kind of figure it out. And if you have a single ball, it's the same thing. You'll have it underneath there, okay? Now, if this is just absolutely impossible, remember, you know you have your wall as an option. So once you have your ball or balls underneath you, you have a few things that you can do. You can, this is if you're on the floor, I'll show you if you're on the wall in just a second. Rolling up and down, and I'm rolling a little bit towards my TFL, if you know where that is. That's a little bit connecting into the hip area, a little bit connected into your psoas. You can lean it a little back so it gets on my upper glute area, okay? That's one thing you can do, just up and down, up and down. If you have a double ball and you have them set up the way that I demonstrated side to side here, and if you have them stacked one on top of the other, you can roll forwards and backwards. So I'm rolling towards my belly, I'm rolling towards my back. And then one last option, I can lean a little back and do like this big bicycling action with my right leg, the bottom leg. Okay. If all of this is, oh my gosh, so intense, there's no way, take your balls to the wall, same thing. And I can do kind of like a up and down here. So I'm bending and straightening my legs. I can shimmy front to back. I can kind of roll forwards and backwards like this. I'm rolling towards my chest to the wall. And then I control how much pressure is on there by how far my feet are away from the wall. So I'm pretty close. This is not a lot of pressure. I walk my feet out, that's more pressure, but not as much as on the floor, of course, because I don't have my whole body weight on there. So once again, if you're on the floor, up and down, lean a little back, lean a little forward. You can try the balls stacked on top of each other, one on top, one on the bottom, rather than side to side. That's going to feel different. You can do a little side to side movement that way. You can still go up and down. You can still do this bicycling thing or marching kind of thing with this leg. You could absolutely find a place that's tight, stuck, and just stay and breathe. That's one option. Again, if you're at the wall, you can go up and down. You can even do this bicycling thing, just don't fall over. Hold on somehow. Shimmy, shimmy, front to back, up, down, roll forwards and backwards. Right, you have 3 more breaths and then we'll transition to side number 2. So if you have any IT band issues, this is the connecting into the top of your iliotibial tract, which can affect the hip, can affect the knee, and also even come into the low spine. This is helping hydrate that area. So you don't have to roll the actual quote IT band, which is like right along the side here, which can be really intense, to actually help release it if it's over tight. It's supposed to have quite a bit of tension in there. That's what makes you be able to walk, run, step, jump, cycle, all those things. But sometimes it can get over tight and pull your knees and hips out of alignment. All right, so we're going to transition to side number 2. So again, balls can be this way. You could also try them this way. You can do it on the floor. You can do it at the wall. Since I'm standing, I'll start here at the wall just to show you that again. You can go up and down, up and down. You can shimmy, shimmy your hips. You can lean it in and do a cycling kind of a thing with this left leg or marching. You control how much pressure's on there by how far your feet are away from the wall. If you're on the floor, place those balls. You can roll towards my belly, roll towards my back, belly, back. I can use my other foot and roll up and down, up and down. I could lean back a bit and do a bicycle or a big marching motion with this left leg. I could certainly just find a place and stay and breathe. You can have as much or as little pressure as you need by just adjusting your body or adjusting the balls to a slightly different location. Remember, it doesn't have to be exactly on the spot that I'm saying to affect the things around it. So if it's too much right on that top of that hip or on that hip area, move it a little back, move it a little forward. It's fine. Let's take 3 more breaths on this side. Now, if you're already at a wall, you might stay at the wall for this next one. I will show you how you can do this next one standing with a wall or without a wall. Okay, so if you're standing next to a wall already, just go ahead and set your balls down. If you're on the floor, go ahead and stand up. If you have a wall available to you, you might choose to use it. We're going to be stretching not just the side of the body, but also into that hip area that you were just rolling. So if you have a wall near you, I'll demo that first. And if you don't, just hang on a second. So if you have a wall near you, we'll go ahead and put your right hip towards the wall. You're going to be a bit away from the wall. So I'm 5'1" and I'm probably 3 feet away from the wall. If you're taller than that, you might want to be a little bit farther away. My right foot steps over my left. So right foot over the left. My right hand is on the wall. I'm going to let my right knee be soft. It will bend. My left hip, the one towards you, is going to pop out to the side, and I am going to lean over towards the wall. So I'm not just dumping into my side. I'm thinking of how long can I get my body and come up and over. And again, my right knee, the one in the front, is soft. My back leg is pretty darn straight. So I'm going to feel something through here. If you do not have a wall, hang on, here I come. Everything's the same. My right foot is over. I'm still going to lean to the right. My right hand will come to my inner front knee, and I'm going to still lean over. And you might want to try both variations. They're a little different. So again, if you're at the wall, you're leaning in here now like this. Now, if you're at the wall, you might also play with a slight rotation forward. So I get a little bit more in what we call the QL, quadratus lumborum, right in here. But again, be careful. I'm not dumping into the right. I'm getting longer. I'm reaching out and around. I can do that here as well. A little rotation, just a little chest, just slightly forward. I'm not dumping. So if you're at no wall, right hand to the inner thigh here, and I lean. All right, good. Go ahead and come out of that. And we're going to switch sides. So now, again, I'll start with the wall option. Left side to the wall. Left foot over right. Okay, both feet are on the floor. My front knee, my left knee can go soft, but my back leg is pretty darn straight. Left hand on the wall, pretty low, like around my rib cage area. I lift up, 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 and then over. Okay, so I'm not just dumping sideways, right? So if I'm doing this variation, I'm going to be going again. I'm going to be, let's see, I've got myself confused. So whoop, leaning over. Oh, no, I guess I'm going this way. I got myself confused. There we go. So let me talk you through this again now that I figured it out. Left foot over, left hand to the left inner thigh, up and over. When I'm looking at the camera, I get confused because it's kind of backwards. So I'll talk you through that again because I got myself all confused. Left foot is over. Left hand on the wall, lift up, 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 and over. Or I'm just going to come around here and not change anything so I don't confuse myself again. Left hand to the inner thigh, reach up, over, and then remember you can slightly rotate forward. Same on the wall. All right, let's lift you up and out of that. Good. All right, my friends, let's go ahead and come back down to the floor. And then we'll finish up, my gosh, time flies so fast, with our neck release. So our double ball on top of our block if we have a block. If you do not have a block, you'll probably be holding those balls in your hand so that you can have a little more pressure on the neck area. For most of us, it's not going to be enough just with the balls on the floor. We don't feel very much. Some of you may. So if you don't have a block, put your hands underneath there. If you do have a block, the balls go on top of your block like that. And then you'll lay down. And starting to do some movements with the neck. Some yes and some no. Maybe some slow circles. Slow, slow, slow. You could turn your head to the left and then nod yes. Come back to center, turn your neck to the right, and then nod yes. You could rock your head side to side. You could simply stay and breathe and let traction happen by letting your chin tuck. Those balls are right at the base of my skull. So go ahead and take just a couple of more breaths. And then you can decide to leave the balls under your neck if it's incredibly comfortable, but I'd like you to be still. We're going to move into your Shavasana, your rest. So if you feel like there's any efforting still happening or it's in any way uncomfortable, please remove the balls. So our next, just a couple of minutes for our final rest should be incredibly comfortable, incredibly relaxing. So make a good choice and then take a really big, big breath in. Hold the breath. And then open your mouth this time and sigh it out, let it go. Take your final rest, letting everything go. Let your body melt into the earth. Letting everything go. Start to reawaken by deepening your breath, wiggling your fingers and toes and ankles and wrists. Take a big breath in, maybe reach your arms long behind you. You can roll over to one side and eventually make your way up to sit. Hands will land at your heart center, a gentle bow of your head in gratitude. All that we have, this practice, this body, this beautiful life. We are all so blessed. And bring your thumbs to your third eye. The divine light in me honors and sees the divine light in all of you. Namaste. So great seeing all of you. Have a really awesome day. Bye, guys.